Today Newsroom. This is
Good morning and welcome to WyoToday Newsroom here on 101.7 KDNO. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning here in Riverton, and we are joined by Staff Sergeant Jeremiah Stover.
How are you this morning?
He threw me there for a second, it looked like I got it wrong. I am good. How are things going? Saw you got a chance to take the pulleys down somewhere. It was on Facebook. I said in the first 30 seconds we were gonna have a little fun at Jay Spradlin's expense because he always has a comment after the show. So I think he shared it because surprise, surprise, Jameson, who's one of your pulleys, ran fast.
Absolutely. He actually had the fastest run time at all of Recruiting Station Denver with a 9-minute, 2-second mile and a half. That's really fast.
Nice. So what all you took? It looked like good 12 to 15 or so, maybe 20. How many did you take?
We had 2 minivans full, and then the Subaru that you see me driving around, that thing was full. And so I mean, we had close to we had almost 20 folks going, and yeah, we got them all down there. I mean, it was a crammed ride there and a crammed ride back, but as soon as they got there, I mean, it was kind of funny because we staged all of our gear right there on the curb, and I went in and checked them all in to the executive officer, Captain Lund, and I got everyone checked in, and then they staged in these bleachers in 25-man like groups, And then all of a sudden, they just run them through like a mini boot camp. They rush them onto the shuttles, and they get them over to the gym. They put them on the yellow footprints, that's if you're at Recruit Depot San Diego, the yellow footprints, that's like your first step. And so everyone was like kind of standing there, and then they brought out the drill instructors, and I don't think they were expecting that. I don't think they were expecting the intensity that the drill instructors actually brought. So it was pretty funny to watch.
All right. So for the people at home, well, heck, myself on this, because I've heard you use the term and I kind of know what it is. Give us a good U.S. Marine Corps recruiter, staff sergeant definition of a pulley. One, what's it stand for fully, and what's the full name, and then what that means.
So a pulley is just an applicant that has already went to the military entrance processing station, was found to be qualified both mentally and physically and morally by the military entrance processing station personnel. And then they have sworn into the inactive ready reserve. So all the pulley is somebody who has committed to going to recruit training and has been found qualified.
Okay. Inactive ready reserve. What's that mean?
So the inactive ready reserve, so no matter what branch that you choose, no matter what branch that you go into, if you're enlisting, you're not just doing that 4 years active. That's you also have that 4 years inactive. So if you have a 5-year initial active duty, you're going to have a 3-year inactive. So all it is your name is on a list, and that's the first list that gets called if we if we need more personnel, in case of God forbid conflict, that we need a lot more personnel. That's the first list that gets called, but that's pretty much the inactive ready reserve in a nutshell. You do not have to go and do drill weekends like you're in either the National Guard or the reserves. It's just that you're out, but your name is still living on that list.
Okay. All right. So you took them down there for what was it, a day, a weekend?
So it was a weekend. We ended up leaving on Friday, so we submitted a bunch of absence letters to pretty much every school that we have pulleys out of, and so they went down on Friday. That's when they met the drill instructors, was on that Friday, and then we stayed down there a second night because we're so far away from Denver that it really didn't make any sense to bring everybody back on that Saturday. So they stayed down there an extra night. We came back on Sunday. But after the drill instructors left on Saturday, it was just another, like kind of just hang out and ask questions about recruit training to the recruiters, kind of things like that.
Okay, as far as meeting the DIs and it being intense and things of that nature, at what level is their commitment at that point when they go down for something like this when they're pulleys? Are they committed to their 8 years, 3 inactive, 5 active, or 4 and 4 or whatever? Are they still kind of in that? Yeah, we're not. I mean, are they going to boot camp no matter what at that point?
So the pulleys that are at least in my pool, they're pretty dedicated to go. They're pretty committed to go. Like, yes, if something happens before their ship date to recruit training, they still are eligible to be discharged with no harm, no foul. But the folks that are in the pool right now, all of my pulleys, they're really committed individuals. I mean, we have a handful now out of Riverton and just the Fremont County area, and even after that pool function, they saw the intensity. They literally came up to me and they were like, "We want more. We want more of that. If we could do that every month, I think I'd be ready to ship." Because really and truly, nobody's ever ready to ship to Marine Corps recruit training. It's kind of a big ask because we're not drill instructors. We do our best, but at the end of the day, we're not drill instructors. The recruiters are not drill instructors. It's hard for us to bring that level of intensity, but we definitely give it a shot.
So you got a chance to expose them for that. How long was that? Was you were down there 2 days? Was that just day one, and then day two was more about questions and paperwork and tests and whatnot? Or Give me an idea of what all went on this weekend besides getting the poop scared out of him when a DI showed up.
You should have seen Jameson. I'm not even kidding. Deer in the headlights. Deer in the headlights. It was like I have a photo of him, and I'll have to show you after we get off here. But he was pretty wide-eyed from it. But that first day, as soon as they landed there, we started doing just package scrubs. So like their enlistment package, all of their enlistment paperwork, the entire command was going through everything, just making sure that we didn't miss something. And then after that, it was just working with the drill instructors. The drill instructors were imitating boot camp as best they could in the Buckley Space Force gym, marching, facing movements, kind of things of that nature, because that's how you are going to move on the recruit depot. You will always be in a formation marching. And on that second day, that was like the big physical event. So we started out with the initial strength test, which all that is pull-ups, plank, push-ups, and a run, and a 1.5 mile run. Mm-hmm. And then after they completed that, we moved immediately into the field games. So we had a bunch of, just competition style events to include like a tug of war, an ammo can 100-meter relay. So they carried 2 ammo cans that weighed roughly 30 to 35 pounds, and they had to run 100 meters with them. And we ended up taking that event. We actually had the fastest run time for the 100-meter ammo can relay.
So this was like an event.
It was like a whole.
This was like not
a whole
just
event.
Your guys going down and going through this. This was
multiple
from all over the, I guess, west area.
So
Colorado, Wyoming,
4
maybe Utah.
different states were there.
Okay.
4 different states. We had South Dakota. We had Nebraska, the western part of Nebraska, Wyoming, and then we also had most of Colorado there, all the way down to I think Pueblo's our furthest south. And it was a big event. I think they had 250 some odd poolies, just poolies there.
Excellent. So the vast majority of those poolies are when they go off, I'm guessing this summer?
A lot of them will, yes.
Vast majority of them, they're heading to San Diego. Few exceptions. One notable that we know well, because I think, unless he decided not to, Jameson did, for example, and others do have the option of Paris Island, like if their dad was there or something like that, correct?
Yes. So if your parent, your
legacy,
your parent was on Paris Island, and that's where they went to recruit training, you have that option. Yes, but yesterday, we actually had a shipper from Riverton. So Joseph Urbicite, he ended up going to recruit training finally, and
in Paris.
No, he's in San Diego.
Okay.
And I was super excited for him. I was happy that he was finally getting his head shaved. His hair was too long.
I was about to say, if you have the option. San Diego's weather is greatly preferable.
100%.
to Paris Island, where it's 100% humidity, like everywhere in the South. So,
their biggest thing is, I think, sand fleas.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Sand fleas are like their biggest nightmare, because while you're recruit training, you can't just be like touching your face and stuff. So, and sand fleas tend to land on your face, and you want to slap them things off, but if you slap it off or pick at your face, I mean, the drill instructors are going to have a heyday. So that's their biggest thing is sand fleas. But I think, it's known Marine Corps wide, and this is 100% a joke, that, real Marines are definitely made in San Diego, because whenever they start doing their field week, that's when they get introduced to the mountains of California. And they're actual, pretty steep hills that they make you hike up with a heavy backpack on. And that's the claim to fame for San Diego, is those giant hills that they're grueling.
Oh, man, come on. You lived in Japan. You know humidity at least a little bit. I can't imagine August at Paris. I I'm from that neck of the woods, and I don't like the entire area in August and September. So it's just absolutely brutal. And there is a difference for those of you out here who go, hey, we get 100 degrees out here. Yeah, there's a huge difference between 30% humidity and 70 plus or 100. Because 100 plus should mean it's raining, but I've seen close to 100% humidity and no rain in sight. So it's a different heat. It's also a different cold. We just didn't get as cold over there.
No,
so
but that
it wasn't as
humidity
bad.
with the cold,
It's bone chilling.
It's to the bone.
Yeah, it just gets to you. It's not nice and dry. So cool. So you're at how do you bounce out? Because I'm sure while you're at the end of the academic year, you do kind of follow the school year. I mean, it seems, because a lot of kids go directly out of high school and whatnot. But that doesn't mean you probably have, and I'm guessing, and speak a little bit about this, probably kids in all sorts of different fashions. You may have some guys who are juniors who are going to be seniors next year. So how do you balance that out? Because you got this big class. You just took them down to MEPS or what? Where were you?
Oh, we were down at just Buckley Space Force Base.
It's still weird to me to say Space Force, but Buckley Space Force Center and doing all that. But at the same point in time, you've got kids who are just in the early process.
Yes, we still do. We still have a lot of people that are coming in, both seniors and already graduates of high school that are coming in this month. But they're not going to be able. They might not be able to ship this summer. We're going to do our best, but then we might not have any availability out of our office to actually ship them this summer, which when Staff Sergeant Martin was on last, he kind of explained that, yeah, like we've done really well this year. We've filled the majority of shipping. And so anyone come to us now is, they're a little late to the punch. But now as we roll into May, that's when our juniors for the 410 program, that means that they're going to be in our pool for 410 days, which isn't a whole lot more than 365, but that's when we can start working those juniors and getting them down to the military entrance processing station, getting them worked. And we have a couple of good ones so far out of Casper that are ready to go to MEPS. So it's going to be one of those.
And you talked 365, you talked 410 days. Talk a little bit about that process. Just kind of give us a walkthrough of how long it actually takes, because a lot of people's experience of like any kind of military recruiter is what they see on TV, which is, you see the woman being chased or somebody being chased by the bad guys. They wind up there, they commit, and next thing you know, they're shipped off. I mean, it's like literally almost like they walked in and walked out the back out on a bus, and it's that quick. That's obviously not the case, and I think everybody realizes that. But talk a little bit about how lengthy the process actually is. So
just going to your initial trip to MEPS is roughly, you're going to be spending 2 days with us just on your initial go. And we always try to tell everybody that, like, hey, the sooner you go down, the better, because we can't give you a 100% for sure answer what is going to happen at MEPS, because they're going to pull your entire healthcare record. And they're going to screen your entire healthcare record. So every time that you've been to the doctor, kind of things like that, we don't know what's going to pop up, just what you've told us up to this point. So just that, 70% of the people that go down to MEPS on their first go get disqualified, and we have to run some level of waiver. Mm-hmm. So, and
an
a
example
waiver
of a reason for a waiver.
So let's say that you have retained hardware due to an injury, like you have a pin, a plate, or a screw in your ankle or your elbow or something like that, and you're going to go down to MEPS and they're going to disqualify you. And now we have to run a waiver. Now we have to go and pull individual records from your hospital or that clinic in which you got that retained hardware. We're going to have to go around, gather those. We're going to have to gather your statement, and then we're going to have to gather a follow-up event with the doctor, like a follow-up visit with the doctor, you and the doctor, and we have to get the results of that. And then we can submit your waiver. So kind of depending on what you got disqualified for, it could take anywhere from 1 month, or the one that we're seeing now we're seeing come back, and it took them 6 months. Took them 6 months to get approved, and that's just how that works. And a lot of those was like previous medications for mental disorders or dysfunctions, like you took anxiety meds.
What is the you said about 70% when they go down there the first time, going to get disqualified. You got to find a reason for a waiver. Of that 70%, especially on the medical side, but of that 70%, how many of them just go, never mind?
Not very many. Not very many. I think this year, the recruiting substation Casper has seen 3 that did that, where we started working their waiver, and they were just like, I don't know, like this wasn't what I thought.
And I assume that the waiver's not a guarantee. If the doctor looks at him and goes, look, if he goes through this, he's not going to walk right when he's 40.
Exactly.
Or something like that. It's just, sorry, we appreciate your gung-ho-ness, but
we can't do it.
We can't do it.
It's never 100% guaranteed.
Now, and preferably not medical here, but what's the weirdest disqualification? No names, and it doesn't have to be from here. What's just the weirdest disqualification you've heard of? Not experienced necessarily yourself, because everybody's going to start trying to do the math to figure out who it is. What's the oddest one you've ever heard where you're like, he got what?
So, I mean, definitely the one that threw us the most curve is actually a fairly common one, but the way that it went through and the way that it got denied was weird, because we've never experienced that before. I mean, we did everything right, and it was he had some self-harm before he I think well before he turned like 13 years old. Shouldn't have been a big deal, and they just kept like denying it. And then another one for a possible hereditary condition. I've never seen that happen. If it didn't happen to you, 99% of the time, hereditary disease doesn't really matter.
Okay, so what you're really saying there was it's hereditary, but he didn't have it.
So he had no history.
It was from mom, dad, uncle, whomever.
He's had like no
Wow.
hiccups, and it was just something hereditary. And they're like, well, if you don't have this in the last 12 months, then we're going to have to disqualify you. And I was like, what? And
well, at the same time, you kind of want that. You want that from all the branches.
Yeah.
You'd rather and
100%.
it works out better for you guys, and especially the guys out in the field and whatnot in combative duties, where medically it's a little bit, it's tough. It's not a given. And that's the one thing we've learned talking to recruiters from every different branch, Coast Guard included, is it's not like it is on TV. It takes time.
Absolutely.
It takes time. Physicals are important. It's not just, we're going to wave you through, because last thing you want is, well, it just seems like, it's just my bum knee. Well, yeah, if you're trying to get from point A to point B to clear a mission, to complete a mission, and knee goes out, and you as the Marines or even the Army, whomever, knew that it was a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, now you've not just endangered the one guy, you've endangered that whole group of people out there.
Absolutely.
And then for the bean counters out there, of which I am one, for the bean counters out there, you've also wasted a lot of money for something that could have been, well, you sent a guy with, no cartilage in his knee to go hike 300 miles to an objective. Yeah, who couldn't have seen that coming?
Yeah,
So.
he's going to be leaving, not being able to walk. But yeah, even after you clear that entire process, after you clear the entire MEPS process, you have to be in the delayed entry program for 60 days. So after you have already sworn in to the inactive ready reserve and the delayed entry program, you have to be in there for 60 days. before you're even eligible to ship to recruit training, because you need to be evaluated. Like, are you actually ready to go? And there's a lot of things that we have to kind of brief you on. A lot of just basic resiliency training, things of that nature, before you even go to recruit training. Like, that is our time to make sure that the recruiter is sure that this person is going to cross the finish line. That is our responsibility. That is where 90% of my job actually lives, is making sure that the people who have committed to this are actually ready to go. Because it's like, we've talked to a lot of Marines that come back from recruit training, and they're going to tell you that it wasn't a walk in the park. It was mentally grueling. And that's the biggest aspect of it, is just your mental resiliency. We got to make sure that you actually have that before you even go down, because that's 99% of the battle. 1% is actually physical. A lot of it lives in your head.
Well, and that's obviously part of the training of every branch of the military, but also even like high dangerous jobs. They want to, in training, put you in a stressful situation. Really, if no other thing, like you watch some of these documentaries, and the ones who swim quite a bit, they talk about, you're down there and you're tossed around, and you got to put all your gear back on, but you have to do it in a certain way. It's trying to basically train instinct, and the only way to do that is to mentally break you down, put you in a stressful situation,
Exactly,
and see what happens when you're not able to think perfectly clearly,
Yep,
and your next
absolutely.
step, and how you're going to react. So y'all put a big emphasis on, McKeon did, obviously, tall boy. Aiden did, obviously, and you do too. You talk about getting them over the finish line. Is that something that, when you hear one, I'm sure you've had one, I'm sure everybody's had at least one that just did. Yep. Is that something y'all take kind of personally?
Yes.
I don't mean personally as far as you want to go kill the kid, but is it something you go, what did I miss? What could I have done better?
What happened during the what didn't occur during his time in the delayed entry program that he was not prepared for the next thing? And yes, we take that very, very serious. And every recruiter that you talk to takes that serious. Not only is it one of those things that you should take personally as a leader, that one of your guys failed, meaning you failed. So if one of my guys fails at recruit training, that means that I failed somewhere in the screening process, somewhere during what I was running as a program, and he wasn't able to make it across the finish line. We gave it our best effort. And not only does it do that, but it definitely counts against us. That counts against us. And we get evaluated on that, because we're evaluated on leadership and everything that we do. And that goes into my evaluations each and every single year that I'm out here. And I've done pretty well up until this point in my Marine Corps career. And so, of course, whatever I do, I have to give it my best effort. Otherwise, my evaluations are going to reflect. Mm-hmm. And then the Marine Corps is going to stop looking at me as, an exemplary Marine, and looking at somebody else. And
don't want that.
I don't want that.
So is there a point in time, and I'm not trying to downgrade what they go through at boot, but there seems to be, in anything like that, there's always there's a point in time where 99% sure he's made it to here, or they've made it to here, they're going to see it through. For example, like you watch SEAL documentaries, it's always make it through the second day of Hell Week, and then make it through pool comp in second phase. Even academically, people talk about, if you go to Harvard or you go to X, Y, or Z, if you're a business major, once you make it through Management Statistics 301, it's kind of, okay, you're going to see it to completion. Mm-hmm. What is that point, even if I know it's not official or anything, but what is that point where okay, this group of guys I sent down, they've made it to X, barring a massive injury and I guess getting rolled back or something like that, they're going to make it through and complete this and become United States Marine Corps?
I would definitely say swim week. That first week of the second month that they're there, they make it through swim week, they're going to be just fine. That means that they've made it through the most mentally grueling phase. They've been broken down at that point. Now, like, because what you see out of recruits at swim week is now they look like Marines, they walk like Marines, and they've went through that initial, hey, we're gonna break you down, we're gonna see where you fold, where you turn in the cards and want to go home.
It's amazing that seems to be kind of almost across the board, whether it's special forces, Navy talks about it, Army talks about it, if they have that part in what they're trying to go to, and not just boot camp. I mean, like special forces level stuff and stuff. If you watch any of the documentaries, it's almost always pool comp, swim week, something of that nature. It amazes me, and you've probably seen it, and Aiden's probably seen it. It amazes me how many people will go off to a boot camp of any kind, especially when it's the Navy, because most people go on a Navy boot in Chicago think boats, but that don't know how to swim, or have never seen a body of water bigger than a kiddie pool. I would think that would be something that the recruiters, like right now, if they got swim week, I would assume at some point in time you'll make sure like Jameson and others get over to a pool. No. Oh, maybe not.
There's a lot of stipulations with getting in the pool just in the Marine Corps. Is because the pool, water is the most stressful environment. So myself and Staff Sergeant Martin, we are both water survival advanced. So we've went through, a week-long course of learning how to do rescues using the P tube, the lifeguard P tubes, and things of that nature. But no matter what, if you get larger than, I think it's like 10 people in a pool at once, you need to have a Marine Corps instructor for water survival present. You have to have a Navy corpsman present.
I'm not saying take them. What I'm saying is, hey, guys, it might be good to get some laps in. Or if you don't know how to swim, might be good to go over there. They got some great teachers. Learn the basics. Because I can't imagine getting to like swim week and not really knowing how to swim that well.
They'll teach you how to swim. It's
gonna be a little different than at the Y.
It's gonna be a little bit different. They do the survival stroke, which is you lay on your back, you tee out, and you flap your arms down like really, really fast, and it propels you through the water. The only thing about the Marine Corps is that you have to do it with boots and your full uniform on. That's where a lot of people get hung up, is that like before I went to recruit training, I know for a fact I did not swim fully clothed at all.
I am not a Marine. I want that on the record as if it wasn't already quite implied. But guys, if you're thinking about going to the Marines, because they will start training you as fairly early for this. I don't mean the Marines. I mean, you can go take lifeguard course, and they do that. One of the final things we did in advanced life saving was we had to survive is an operative word because it was a heated indoor pool. So, it's not like it was freezing or anything, but had to jump in. It required a certain amount of layers. Had to have like a polo on, had to have an undershirt on, had to have underwear, jeans, which wet jeans are miserable, belt.
It's like swimming in cardboard.
Shoes, socks, the whole 9 yards. Had to have the whole thing on. Could not be slip-off shoes, had to be tied, and they had to be tied tight because there was a reason they're walking you through all this. And we had to jump in there, and for the longest, I think it was like half hour or an hour, we had to just tread water, just in full clothes. So kind of like the only way I could relate it is like kind of like police getting tased. You see those videos, or you guys get tased in the back, so you know what it feels like to be the victim, I guess, because never as a lifeguard was I not going to be in shorts and whatnot, but nonetheless, do that. And then you had to do the whole thing, take it off, blow up your jeans, make them into a very horrible, horrible flotation device, and then at the end get rid of everything and just kind of swim there, and then I think we took turns basically playing unconscious, and someone had to dive in and get us and the whole 9 yards. We had to, just rotate. Kind of like group speeches where you have to rotate. Everybody's got to speak for 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's my turn to play the body, and then because we were cheap and didn't have the dummies or anything like that to simulate dead weight, but. It just blows my mind. If I know I've got a swim week coming up and I know I'm not a good swimmer, heck, it's very affordable. Get yourself up to back of the high school. People like Kelly Davis, she's taught it before many a times, and get yourself accustomed to that, because you're right. For those not competent in the water,
swim week will
water's
hurt.
scary. It's a high. You want to stress someone out, take away their oxygen. Basically, at the end of the day.
I'm telling you, when I went through my water survival advanced course, I mean, very similar to you, that's when you are indoctrinated into saving somebody from being a victim, and they are going to be aggressive. So, like, victims are aggressive.
Yes.
If they are actively drowning, they are going to be aggressive. And again, we didn't have the dummies either. Yeah. And so, like, but your buddy had to be your victim, and he had to simulate it in, like, as best as he possibly could, because a real victim is 20 times worse than what your buddy's going to do to you.
They're trying to get their head above water, get breath, and what's the thing to do? Well, if they're at the side of the pool, they'd push off on the side and push up. So what are they going to do to you? They're going to push you, but you're going to go under. And that's why you look at any level of water training. You watch those documentaries with Special Forces. You watch you guys, the documentaries. You watch the guys who work on oil rigs underneath that dive down and stuff like that. All the way to even like your little lifeguard at like a water park or something like that. Everything that's drilled into them, even though they look like they don't behave because they're 17, is procedure. Everything is the exact same way every single time, depending on what the situation is. But if it's this, I do this, and this, because that is it. It may work. It should work most of the time. It maybe doesn't all the time, but it is the standard practice. It is the best MSOP.
Yep.
So, or MSRP, excuse me. It's the best they've got, but it also, there is that one thing they teach you, and they kind of gloss over it. I'm sure they do with the Marines too a little bit, is that the rescue, people don't realize, like, rescue divers for the Coast Guard, the guys famous in Alaska and stuff, they can turn, that diver has the option to go, no go. It's just too dangerous, because his job, as they're taught, supposedly, at least according to the documentaries, is to keep himself alive. Because he's going to, how many more would he save? And that's kind of a scary thing. Water's most destructive force on this planet. It just takes a long time generally. Kill a human really quick, but it also carved the Grand Canyon, so it's pretty darn powerful.
Yeah, water is the most stressful environment that we can place you in. And in the Marine Corps, we're an amphibious force, so you're going to see the water.
You're part of the Navy. The men's department. I know
the
it's
men's
coming.
department here. But we're definitely going to put you in that situation, because water's the great equalizer. I've seen somebody go out there and absolutely crush, just physical fitness events on the ground, and then they get in the water, and it's like they're a newborn baby giraffe learning how to walk, and they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea how to coordinate their body to actually move through water. Like what? And I've seen the people that are out there that wasn't great at physical fitness on just like running and stuff like that, where they get in the water and they just glide like they're like a penguin.
Well, they know it's all about staying calm.
And
sometimes being the fastest, especially in a water survival situation, isn't the best thing.
No. Because it will wear you out.
You don't know how far you get. That was the big thing they always taught. I'm sure they taught you too. It was, if you don't know how far you've got to go, you better taking it very slow and very easy. If you know how far you've got to go, just half that, because that's how long you're going to be good for. People see that and go, oh, it's only 2 miles in. Triathletes only swim about 2 miles. The swim is the shortest
2 mile
distance.
swim
is mammoth.
a painful experience. If you've never experienced a 2-mile swim, it is painful.
I mean, watch the Olympians when they swim like 1,600 meters, which is roughly a mile, right? That's how long 4 trips around a track. And you can literally, Olympians, get up, go make some food, come back, they're still halfway to go. And those people are flying.
Yeah, those people train for
conditions.
that.
Yeah, they're perfectly trained for it, but it takes forever because it's a long distance to go. And everybody thinks if you can just see the shoreline, you're going to be okay.
No.
Yeah, no, because the horizon you can see 6 miles out. You may be in trouble.
That's a pretty good swim. And I mean, like when I was like really really into it, because during the summer, I generally don't go out there and beat the pavement with my feet and go for runs. I genuinely don't like doing that. I want to get all my cardio done in the pool. So the majority of my cardio that I get on a daily basis actually lives in the pool because it's the best cardio that you can do, in my opinion. And plus,
it's not 100 degrees out.
It's not 100 degrees out. I'm not dying in sweat, but yeah, water is that great equalizer.
Well, as always, Staff Sergeant Stover, great to talk with you. Give Aiden a slap on the back next time you see him if he doesn't come up here anytime soon. And if you run into Staff Sergeant McKeon or whatever his rank is at this
Gunnery
point.
Sergeant.
Gunnery Sergeant McKeon, tell him we said hi.
Absolutely.
For Staff Sergeant Jeremiah Stover, this has been Kevin Shields. You've been listening to KDNO 101.7's WyoToday Newsroom. By the way, WyoToday Newsroom is brought to you by Porter's Mountain View Supply in Riverton. If you're looking for a better way to relax, especially after a long Wyoming day, stop by Porter's Mountain View Supply in Riverton. Porter's offers quality hot tubs built for comfort, durability, and year-round enjoyment. Whether you want a place to unwind, ease sore muscles, or spend time with family and friends, their team will help you find the hot tub that fits your space and lifestyle. Porter's Mountain View Supply is known for friendly, knowledgeable service. They take the time to answer your questions, help you understand proper care and maintenance so you feel confident long after your purchase. You'll find Porter's Mountain View Supply at 750 East Sunset Drive in Riverton. We'll see you next time on WyoToday Newsroom. Actually, tomorrow with I don't want to say who I'm with yet because I've got 2 potentials. So we'll see you tomorrow on 101.7 KDNO.